Welcome. You know, we've all seen them in classrooms. The classic word wall. A nice, neat, alphabetized list of vocabulary. But what if that wall could do so much more? Today, we're going to look at how to turn that static display into a totally dynamic, interactive learning hub. So let's really think about this for a second. Are your classroom walls just kinda there? Are they just wallpaper? Or could they be your most powerful, unsung teaching assistant? The goal here is to shift our thinking so that we're designing an environment that actively teaches and engages students every single day. Let's see how.
Okay, so first things first, let's get on the same page. Let's talk about the traditional word wall. It's a fantastic starting point, and hey, it's a staple in classrooms for a really good reason.
At its heart, a word wall is really just a shared, public record of learning. Think of it like a visual anchor. It provides this constant reinforcement for key vocabulary, and it's there to support students with everything from spelling a tricky word to, understanding a core concept in science.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the evolution here. We're moving away from that static, alphabetized list over to something that's way more like a living, breathing graphic organizer. And the biggest change? It stops being just a teacher resource and becomes a space that's co-constructed with the students, organized by concepts and big ideas. So how do we make that leap from static to dynamic? Well, this next part is all about that fundamental shift in thinking. It's about changing the student's role from just a passive observer to an active, hands-on participant.
This, right here, is the whole ballgame. It is one thing to have a resource that students can glance at, right? But it is something else entirely to design a tool that they physically build, that they manipulate, and that they use to construct their own understanding. That's the upgrade we're aiming for.
An interactive wall just comes alive. We're talking student drawings, diagrams, maybe even real objects, like having actual rock samples up there during a geology unit. Students are physically getting up, moving words around, clustering them by category, maybe even using yarn to draw literal connections between ideas. Suddenly, the wall becomes a reflection of their learning journey, not just the teacher's lesson plan.
Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, but what does this actually look like in a real classroom? Let's break down two incredibly powerful and creative strategies that pretty much any teacher can adapt to bring their vocabulary instruction to life. First up is this super cool idea called graffiti vocabulary. This strategy literally turns a vocabulary word into a personal piece of art. Students aren't just memorizing a definition, they're interpreting a word through symbols, colors, and their own design. That creates a much stickier, way more meaningful memory of that term.
And what's so brilliant about this is that the process is the learning. It's not just a craft project. By making students think deeply about a word's meaning and how to represent it visually, these posters become these powerful learning artifacts for the entire class to see and use.
All right, next, let's bring in just a touch of tech. Now don't worry, QR codes are a surprisingly easy way to add a really rich digital and multisensory layer to your physical word wall. It basically bridges the gap between that printed word on the wall and the endless resources of the internet. I mean, the possibilities here are just amazing. Imagine this. A student can walk up to the wall, scan the word photosynthesis, and instantly watch a 1-minute animation explaining the whole process. They can hear the correct pronunciation of a really complex science term, see a whole gallery of examples, or even watch a video created by one of their classmates. It turns the wall into a gateway for much deeper learning. So why go to all this trouble? Why make this shift from a simple static list to this whole interactive multimedia experience? Well, the impact on student learning, on their confidence, and their engagement it's huge.
You don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to what this 6th grader had to say. A cheat sheet in my brain. How powerful is that? The wall isn't just something on the wall anymore. When students help build it and interact with it, it becomes an internalized mental model that they can carry with them anywhere.
So when you boil it all down, moving beyond that simple word list just creates so many more pathways for learning. It helps vocabulary stick by engaging students visually, physically, and digitally. It builds independence, it boosts creativity, and it provides really critical support for all the different learners in the room.
As we wrap up this explainer, the real question isn't whether your walls can be a teaching tool, it's how will you empower them to speak? It could be starting with just one graffiti vocabulary word or adding a single QR code. Every small step makes a huge difference. So what will you do to make your walls and your students truly talk?